Each gym trains a little different, okay? At one time, I was at Team Quest, and us at Team Quest, we were ahead of the curve. I mean, we had guys coming in from around the world to train with us. And when I tell you we were ahead of the curve, by today's standards, we were so far behind. Okay, here's what a workout at Team Quest looked like, just so you understand. 3 o'clock, meet at the gym. We would all walk in, we'd all stare at each other from the sides, and somebody would say the words, big gloves or little gloves. At which point, essentially a vote would go around, and then that is the kind of gloves we put on. You were in charge of getting yourself warm, and we set a clock for 5-minute rounds, and we sparred. And that was it. We had no coach. We had no official warm-up. We had no cool-down, no strength and conditioning, no mitt work, no bag work. There wasn't even a bag in the room. But by the way, Randy Couture was a champion of the world. Dan Henderson was the Pride champion of the world. Evan Tanner went on to be the champion of the world. I'm just sharing with you that this worked. As bad as what I just said to you sounds, and it does to me too, I cannot believe that we were trying to be the best in the world and didn't even have a coach, that we weren't working on techniques. But this is what the rest of the world was doing too. That's why we could go out and compete. We came in for, hey, get in really good shape, learn your range, learn a little bit about the sports, but we didn't have sequences. We didn't have anything to do on the ground. On the ground, if we got on top of a guy, 100% was based around when his hips move, you move your body so that his hips never get an angle and therefore he can't set up his first submission. That is something that Fabiano Schörner, to put in perspective, would teach an 11-year-old child on their first day of grappling. But we didn't know that back then. John Lewis, do you guys remember John? John came to town, Randy brought him out. John was helping train Randy for a fight, and John showed us 2 moves. One was if the guy splits his knees, you put your hand down like a crowbar. You make your arm straight, and therefore that freezes him so you can walk around. We worked on these moves for the next 6 months until John Lewis came back and showed us 2 more moves. I mean, I look back, that's very comical. But we had champions of the world in the room. And there is a point in sport where naiveness is very helpful to you. Not knowing what you don't know. Confidence is only one thing. Do you believe it? That's what confidence means. Do you believe it? Not is it true, not is it so, not is it logical, not was it earned. Do you believe it? We didn't know any different. Of course we believed it. And I remember we had a weekend and everybody got beat. Matt Lindland, #1 ranked guy in the world, wasn't the champion, but #1 ranked, got beat. Dan Henderson was over in Japan, got beat. Randy Couture got beat, lost to Josh Barnett. So Dan was the only guy not there. The rest of the Team Quest, which was 4 or 5 guys, but all of us were in Vegas, MGM Grand, for Matt and Randy's fights. So Randy huddles the team up after we all get cleaned up and we read that the same happened to Dan, and says, we're doing things different. We've been winning, so we haven't fixed this. We're not winning now, we're fixed right now. We're gonna get a coach. We're going to drill technique. We're gonna make this look like a wrestling room. We were all wrestlers, we're gonna make this look like wrestling practice, where you come in, you warm up as a group at a specific time. You stretch out a little bit, somebody comes in, they show a move, you then go out with partners and you work on said move. You get all sweaty, 45, 55 minutes, and then you put on your gear and get in your rounds. When that's over, a little more skill building and or conditioning. That can be team sprints, that can be team push-ups. That can be kick a bag. That can be team sit-ups. It's one of these things, though, where that's how you finish a practice. You cool down while getting conditioned. You're jumping rope, keep that sweat going, and all of a sudden, it's a 2-hour practice, which again resembles a wrestling practice, which we were all used to. We were training prior to that for around 30 minutes, but it was super hard 30 minutes. We were going live 5 or 6 rounds every time the clock rings, but then we go home. There was no skills, there was no combos, there was no left, right, followed by a kick, get into a tie clinch, throw a knee, work your takedown off of there. All of the things that we started doing differently. Now, I bring you that story because that was just the changes that Team Quest went through, that I personally saw and personally went through. But every time I go to a different gym, you learn the nuances of that gym. There used to be a real theory. I have a helicopter flying overhead, guys. There used to be a real theory. I'm not far from the naval base, quite frankly. That could be an army. It could be a military bird there. But in martial arts, you used to never go to a different gym other than your gym. And in the olden day, and by olden day, 70s, 80s, but right before I did it, that was such a hard and fast rule. Not only did you not do it, you were a traitor, you wouldn't be welcome back, but other senseis, other gym owners would not let you in if they knew you belonged somewhere else. It was the mafia. That's your family over there, this is our family over here, but they also would show respect to it. They wouldn't let you in. They wouldn't let you be a traitor. If you were a Taekwondo guy and you wanted to go get a workout at a karate gym, and the karate owner knew that you belonged to this other gym, he would make you bring in a note from that coach. You would have to bring it in writing and show him, no, my sensei says it's okay if I come and train with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, by example, just to get onto the mat. So very different, but we have seen real advantages in some guys that float around. We've really seen some guys, they'll go spend 3-4 weeks over here, and then they come over here. I mean, Kamaru Usman, fine example, to use a recent one. And that's not just because he's getting good results and he's the champion of the world. You can see gains in Kamaru Usman. The Kamaru Usman that just fought Gilbert Burns kicks the Kamaru Usman's ass who won the Ultimate Fighter. Kicks his ass. One round, probably one round, but he's getting better. You can get better in a lot of ways. I'm just sharing for you that when you do go to some of these different gyms and you get a couple of these nuances, you can pick them up pretty fast. You can pick a lot of the philosophies and tendencies of a specific gym in about 2 weeks. Then you go back to your gym, you work some of those things in, you see what worked for you, you see what didn't, you throw some stuff out. First time I went, and this was a Team Quest gym. I belonged to Team Quest, but that was in Portland. Dan Henderson opened up a Team Quest in Temecula. I fly out, first day I go to that gym, we spar. And I remember specifically going with Mayhem Miller. But I sparred in Portland. If you ever worked out with Randy Couture, by example, if you forgot a mouthpiece, go ahead and go with Randy, because he was never going to hurt you. He was completely controlled. We worked out, we sparred. I thought that's how it was everywhere. I had never sparred at a different gym. So when I go to Dan's gym and I'm working with Mayhem Miller, he hit me so hard in the face. It was a fight. He hit me so hard in the face that I stopped and put my hands down and looked at him to give him a chance to apologize. He hit me again. That's how I found, oh, they fight here. We spar where I'm from. We're fighting now. I had the same thing happen to me. I went out to Cesar Gracie's gym. I was sparring with Nate Diaz. It was the same thing. Before I'm fighting Nate Diaz. But now I'm a little smarter, right? Because of the mayhem. So I kind of know, these gyms are different. Which I bring you to when I was at TJ's workout yesterday. TJ and Juan. They didn't spar one bit. They didn't even go live. They got all sweaty. They got their heart rates up. They were going very fast. One guy, then the next. They spent an hour on drilling and skill building, and they went home. And I thought it was a very mature way to train. Not to mention the skills that they were working on. Daryl Christian was coaching this to them, and really advanced transitions on your feet. From a striking range to get into grappling to get that takedown. A lot of cage work. These guys were soaking. They probably sweat 4 or 5 pounds and never went live once. Just got this hard, long drill. And it was different. It's different than a lot of things that I'm used to seeing. It was a different philosophy. It was a different way this gym went. It was just the two of them. That's it. 2 athletes, 1 coach, private session. Very interesting way to build skills. And I think if you're looking at Juan Archuleta, the reigning champion of the world, and you're looking at TJ Dillashaw, was the world champion and never lost his belt. I mean, what do you want to call TJ? We're going to say he's not the champion anymore? Yeah, that's true. He's not. But he was. and he didn't get beat. And what are you going to do, right? You got to learn what they're doing, and therefore adhere to the fact it must work. They're the two best fighters in the world at the same weight class at rival organizations, and this is what they're doing. It was very, very interesting. Working out with St. Pierre, I can tell you, George, when he drilled slow. It was not about speed and getting your heart rate up and getting covered in sweat. It was slow, and it was about perfect technique. I can remember the first day I worked out with George, him going into a leg manipulation. But he would not release and let go until his knee was turned. And then his foot had to be over here, but his toes had to be turned just like that. Like, he would go as slow as it took him to get the technique perfect. I'm sharing this stuff with you because it is not one size fits all. And you particularly see it in MMA because you have different gyms with different systems. I wonder if that would be true in basketball. I wonder very much if I went to a Celtics practice and then I went to a Lakers practice, if they are going to have different philosophies or if it just kind of looks the same. Talked to Ricky Williams. I'm name dropping. You guys remember Ricky Williams. Great running back. But he was telling me about the NFL. He blew my mind. He told me in a season of the NFL, you will never practice hard. Not one time. I said, well, what do you mean? Never? He goes, no. He said, we'll lift 4 days a week hard. He said, but when we go to practice, we don't even put pads on. I said, you guys don't scrimmage? You don't go live to run these plays? He said, never, ever. All we would do is get hurt. What good would that come? We're going to have a game on Sunday. So we'll run the routes up there in T-shirts and shorts. We'll run the routes. You get to the guy. You try to get to the quarterback. You get in your positions. But no, we would never go live. I can't imagine that's true for any sport except that one. I didn't know that. I mean, I've seen a lot of high school football practices. They're scrimmaging. They are all suited up and they are going live trying to run those plays. I didn't know in the NFL they don't do that. I know in hockey they do. I know in basketball they do. I know in baseball it's a little bit different. You go to the batting cage. You go play catch with somebody. It's a little bit different. But those aren't the same plays, right? There aren't the same strategies in baseball. Hit that ball, hit it as far as you can. Essentially, I just described baseball for you, but in MMA, when you go around to these different gyms and you pick up different styles, different strategies, and you start to see what works. Stipe Miocic is one of the last hanger-on to sparring hard, and he does it 2 days a week. We used to spar every day. When I say we, I'm talking the industry as a whole. Every gym, everywhere, you sparred every day. Then that really started to lessen. And it's, okay, well, how much are we going to spar? 2 days a week, 1 day, what are we going to do? And a lot of gyms, 1 day a week. And it's going to be hard. Get all suited up, but we're going to go and we're going to go hard, but we're only going to do it 1 day. Stipe still goes twice a week, but even twice a week is vastly different than 5 days a week, which it used to be. So you're watching the sport change, and you're paying attention. Who are the top guys? What are the top guys doing? How are they working on these things? And I will just share with you, I mean, it was one workout. Am I taking too much from one workout? Probably. In all fairness, yes. You probably don't have a great assessment of something in 60 minutes. That's probably accurate. But to watch the skill building and the drilling, and then everybody goes home. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets banged up. Everybody got better. Everybody got a little faster. Everybody picked up a little knowledge. This is what TJ and Juan, the top guys in the world, were doing as recently as yesterday at 10 a.m. I think that's fascinating.